Hi, this is Teresa, the owner and founder of Serene Studio. I'm here with Howie today, about to do his 6th private yoga session with me. And I just wanted to take a minute to express how impressed I've been with his motivation to start doing yoga, of being in the bodybuilding world, and also his dedication to showing up to his private sessions and his group classes with me, and also how he's learned to incorporate it into his lifestyle on a regular basis, and how big of a difference that's made him with his increasing his flexibility, which has allowed him to become more functional on a daily basis, and also it's eased his back pain. It's also allowed him to move with ease more. He can stand taller, walk easier. And I hear often from people that excuses of why they can't accomplish certain goals in life. And I believe that there are no excuses in life for things that you truly want to accomplish. And one of the sayings I like to live by is, something's better than nothing, and you can apply that to any aspect in your life. So now we're going to hear from Howie about how yoga has made a difference in his life and how he's learned to incorporate it into his lifestyle on a regular basis.
Well, I got to thank Teresa because she's really been an excellent teacher in yoga, and it's been a lot of fun. But I got to tell you honestly, as a guy who actively bodybuilds for the past 20 years, I believe you used to make fun of how I walked. So I waddled a little bit, and actually after the first time we did a session, I really felt taller. I felt at ease. My whole body felt much better. And like most people, I used to make excuses, you know, why I'm not going to stretch, I don't have time, I'm too busy, as I'm sitting in front of the TV doing nothing. Then one day I decided to invest some time, and in the past, I'd say 45 to 60 days, I've stretched more, done more yoga than I've probably done in the past 5 years stretching. And it really started with Teresa showed me some basic moves, working with me one-on-one, and then I like to think of myself as a mini yogi. I invested some time in it. I started doing it every day when I go to the gym. I would do it for about 20 minutes after my cardio. And what really happened, I really honestly started feeling a difference. And when you can feel a difference, I went from, I started stretching from a chair position, right? Started from a chair to a block and almost to the floor, and this really happened in roughly about 45 days. So if I can do it, believe me, any of you out there, if you invest a little time in yourself, because there's investment, but the payoff is astronomical. It'll happen very quickly. I think yoga really is for everybody, so give it a shot.
So we're starting today's session with just showing how we can now come into a seated position, feeling more comfortable through the hip flexors and back, right?
Absolutely.
You can actually let his knees relax a little closer to the floor as he's lengthening through the spine. He doesn't have to use a blanket anymore here to sit cross-legged. So this is one of the first poses we started with in Howie's first session, is Supta Tadasana, working on thigh loop, which rotating the thighs in as he's extending out through the heels of the feet and letting his shoulders sink into the mat. What are your feelings stretching as you're holding that?
For me, always
The hips.
Lower hips, lower back, shoulders, as just relax into the mat.
So now we're going to start by bringing the left knee into the chest, and notice flexibility and be able to bring the knee closer to the chest. He keeps taking his right hamstring down into the mat. A little bit easier to bring your knee in towards the chest now.
Yes. I still feel when I make it closer to the center with the right leg.
Right. Now see how far you can extend up through the heel of the left. Straighten your left leg up towards the ceiling.
Oh yeah.
So when we first started, he couldn't grab his hand behind his hamstring when we were doing this stretch. Now he can grab behind the hamstrings. So one of the things that Howie had a hard time with when we first started was just sitting back in a child's pose because of the tightness through his hips and his knees and his low back. So now we're going to show him transitioning from laying down, pushing back into child's pose. Taking the knees wide. Slowly going back as far as you can, sitting back on the heels of your feet. So here we're going to work on the runner's lunge series, but first we're going to start with both legs straight. He's going to work on rotating this back hip down. So when we first started this, he was on a chair, taking his hand to the chair with a block on top of the chair because he was so tight through the hamstrings and the low back he couldn't come down this flat. So he's made huge progress here. Now his hands are right down on the block. You feeling the stretch deeper as you come here, rotating the back hip down, lengthening through the crown of the head. So as you lengthen through the crown of the head, you should feel that deeper through the hamstrings and low back.
I do.
And when you're ready, you can take your left leg back to a runner's lunge. Taking the block lower down horizontal.
Okay, bring the back knee all the way down.
Nope, staying in the runner's lunge. You want to bring the knee
over the toe.
Knee over the ankle.
Yeah.
You're going to push up to the top of the back thigh, extending out to the heel of the back foot. It's going to deepen the stretch to the quadriceps and the hip flexors. As you keep taking that front knee towards your front pinky toe.
Woo.
Focusing on the exhalation, you want to let those quadriceps lengthen and release as you're exhaling. So again here, when we first started, he was doing runner's lunge with the chair, taking his hand to the chair. Now he's all the way down to the block horizontal. He's moving with much more ease and transitioning from one pose to the next. Go ahead and drop the back leg coming into crescent pose. And take your right, good elbow to the knee, extend up through the left fingertips. Really leaning into those hip flexors. And trying to make your exhalation match your inhalation. Now you're going to turn the palm away from you. Feeling that deepen the stretch even more.
Yes, it does.
Good. So now you're going to slowly straighten that right leg. So keep your back leg down.
Yep.
Back leg down.
Down all the way down?
All the way down. Straightening the front
Oh,
leg
yes,
here.
right. Yeah.
There you go. Bringing the block closer towards you. Lengthening so you're going to come forward flat back. Keeping the chin up. So how does this feel compared to when we first started the sequence here?
Much improved. Still deep. I still feel it a lot.
Feel like your transitioning is easier?
Much easier. I can do it.
Yes, you can. Point the toes down. So right here we're going to demonstrate triangle pose. When Howie first started doing yoga with me, he had a hard time taking his hand down to a folding chair in triangle pose. And now you're going to see where he's progressed to with using a block in triangle pose. So go ahead and take your stance, line up your feet. Go ahead and extend the arms out, engage shoulder loop. Go ahead and come all the way down. So now he's able to take his hand down to a block versus using a chair. Going to work on pushing this bottom shoulder forward. He's much more open through the shoulders when we first started. Remember where your shoulders are at when we started? Where were they?
Not here.
All the way forward, and then you got to keep your hand on your hip. Good. Focusing on that breath. Letting the hips release as you're exhaling. How's that feeling through the hips?
That's good.
Much better alignment, much more flexibility through the shoulders and the hips. Good. Slowly take the hand down to the hip, and you're going to come out. Slowly come up. Much better. So now we're going to show here Howie's sitting. I think it was his fourth session that he was working on straddle, that he was sitting on a blanket folded up to help open up his hips more. Now he's sitting more comfortable without any blanket. How is it feeling just sitting here?
Comfortable.
So now we're going to show how he can come into stretching without using a strap, taking his fingers over his toes. Go ahead and come into your right side. So now he's able to extend all the way, grabbing his fingertips over the toes. Now try and open up your left shoulder.
This way?
Yep. So exciting to see his progression from where he started. Be able to barely sit cross-legged on a blanket. Now he's sitting in a straddle without no blanket. He's not using a strap anymore. Go ahead and slowly come up. And let's see where we at on the other side. So impressive. So proud of you. Open up that right shoulder.
I love the stretch.
Where do you feel the stretch mostly?
Here.
Low back?
Yeah. I get all hamstring.
Good. So working on flexibility through the back, the glutes and the hamstrings has allowed him to come sitting into this pose more comfortable. So now we're coming into a pike position. Last time we used 2 props. This is the session we did outside. That was this 4th session again. So we're working on pike again, flexibility through the hamstrings and the low back. So now he's not sitting on a blanket, and you'll see how much more forward he can come here. Go ahead and walk your hands forward, taking your hands over the chair. I might even say you might be able to do this without the chair. Should we try?
Sure, let's do it.
Alright, let's move the chair and see how far forward you come without the chair. Look at that! Take your toes up. There you go. Wow, so now he can come into a forward pike forward here, taking his fingertips over the toes without any props, no blanket underneath his sits bones and not using the chair for leverage. Again, huge increase in flexibility here when you incorporate it on your own on a regular basis, rather than just waiting to do it in a class, do it on your own.
It's awesome.